Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode
The MMA on the Rocks
350.
podcast is intended for adult audience.
I don't know how that happened. I had to fire my producer. 350 of the podcast. Today is Sunday, February 25th. A little bit earlier than I normally do the show. Just trying to get out of the way. Family was occupied. My wife and daughter cooking dinner, so I figured I'd get up here and cook up some quality podcast content for you all. What a wild night in Mexico City for the UFC. Craziness. Fights in the cage. Brawls in the stands. It all went down. We're going to talk about it all. For those of you who are new here, I apologize. I don't always talk like Shrek. So you guys may or may not know, I posted just a silly meme on Instagram that kind of broke down the situation happening with UFC 300, kind of poking fun at some fighters. And it was about how Dana said that he had called 3 different fighters to headline UFC 300 opposite Leon Edwards. They all said no, and none of them were the consensus number 1 contender, Bilal Muhammad. So I took this scene from Shrek where Shrek was asking if anybody knew how to find Lord Farquaad, and the donkey was the only one jumping up and down saying that he knew. And Shrek clearly didn't want to pick him. So I turned that into Dana White and Bilal Muhammad. And man, did this thing ever take off. It's pretty cool, but I've never made content with the intention of it blowing up like that. I just have fun with this stuff. And I appreciate everybody who shared it. And it's, my phone's been buzzing like crazy the last couple of days with this thing being shared so much. Everybody kept tagging Bilal Muhammad in it, and apparently he's got a great sense of humor because he shared it on his social media platforms as well. So awesome, man. If you guys are joining because of the Shrek meme, then welcome. I don't do a whole lot of that stuff, but I like to have some fun every now and then. Maybe I'll do more of it. I mean, you guys seem to like it, so maybe more memes and less me. I think that thing got more views than all of my other social media posts put together. So here we are. Internet famous now. I guess they can start. Can they start canceling me now? Am I cancelable? Once you have, I mean, I'm pretty much famous, right? One post that went quasi viral, it pretty much makes you famous these days, doesn't it? In any case, I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody sharing it. I appreciate, everybody who is tuning in to the show. Let's talk about some fights, shall we? UFC Mexico City. What a wild night, man. There was just an energy in the Mexico City arena. The Mexican fans are passionate, especially for their fighters. And there was a lot of things to be passionate about. Some of the Mexican fighters did well. Some did not do so well. Some got robbed in decisions. And I think everything kind of culminated with the brawl in the crowd, which was just madness. I mean, did you guys see the clips of this? People just beating the fuck out of each other in the stands. And Dana White was amazed because he said he went down there and he said the security guards didn't step in. I guess things are not like they are here. They just let them finish, which I guess, like, sure, let them all knock each other out and then drag them out of there. It does have to work for you, but I mean, you don't want it to turn into a riot either. It gives a whole new meaning to nosebleed seats. I don't know if you guys saw. If you guys didn't see the video, you got to go jump on social media. I'm pretty sure if you put in the UFC Mexico City hashtag, It'll be one of the top videos coming up. It's just these guys just beating the shit out of each other in the stands. And then one guy just gets starched and knocked head over heels right over a row of seats. Hopefully nobody was seriously hurt, but that one guy that did the stiffened up flip over the seats, I don't think he's gonna be feeling too good today. Hopefully no serious injuries though. It's kind of scary, you know, if you're somebody in the crowd who's just, you know, you're just there to see the event, you know, maybe you know one of the fighters, or you're just there with your family, and all of a sudden there's this giant melee breaking out. That could be a scary thing, and nobody's doing anything to stop it. Terrifying. But let's get into the actual sanctioned fights that took place in Mexico City last night, starting with the headliners, Brandon Royval and Brandon Moreno. And man, I would be nervous to go to a decision after some of the other decisions that happened on this card. And these two guys have the same first name, because these judges were confused the rest of the night for no reason. Now they got Brandon and Brandon. I'm surprised there was no "Let's go Brandon" chants, because it would have been you could have been rooting for both guys with a "Let's go Brandon." So Brandon Royval gets the unanimous decision over Moreno. I think the decision went the right way. I had Royval winning rounds 1, 3, and 5, I believe. 1, 3, and 5. It seemed like Moreno took the first round off just to kind of feel things out. It wasn't like a huge round from Royval, but it was a clear win. Then I think Moreno was like, all right, now I kind of got his timing a little bit, and he was piecing Royval up in the second round, and it kind of went back and forth from there. But and then everyone seemed to think it was 1-1 going into the fifth, and man, that pressure from Royval just didn't stop. The question is, what do we do now? Because, man, we just saw Royval and Alexandre Pantoja, and does anybody want to see that again? Because I kind of don't. I don't really have, like, I don't really have a desire for that one. I think we need to mix it up a little bit. You know, we've got Amir Albazi lurking in the wings there. I think that might be a fun name to insert into the title picture. I just think we need to get away from, you know, Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval for a bit. Kai Kara France is kind of lurking around there too. Mateusz Nicolau. Let's get some fresh blood in there. But then the question becomes, what do you do with Brandon Royval? You know, if he wants to stay active, he's going to have to fight somebody a little bit, you know, ranked below him. That's just the only thing left to do. You know, we kind of have a bit of a logjam with this title picture. And if Brandon Moreno had won, it would have been even worse, because he's lost to Pantoja twice. Is it? Or is it twice plus the Ultimate Fighter? I can't remember. But either way, we don't have to worry about it. So that's good. Yeah, but great performance by Royval. What I loved from both guys is the cornering. We saw some questionable cornering advice last night, and we saw some excellent cornering advice last night. Royval and Moreno both had top-notch coaches in their corner, both calm, giving very clear instructions and very minimal instructions. It wasn't like, go out there and beat the fuck out of them. You know, they were calm, cool, collected. And I can't remember specifically, but it was like, look, you need to follow your jab with something. Let's go in with some combinations. Let's get after him. The left kick is there. At one point, Moreno's coach told him, get close to him, see how he feels for the takedown. He didn't say get in there and take him down. He said feel him out, get close and see what's there. And that happened to work in that round, I think. So great cornering from both of these guys. It was a good, back and forth fight. 5 rounds was a little much. I was like, it was a good fight, but it was like after 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. So I was like, man, I would have been all right with 3 rounds of this. And that would have been just fine. Co-main event. Wow. This one, I mean, this is going to be talked about as like probably comeback of the year. And I know Matt the Mechanic made some big bucks on this one. I think he's up 18 big ones. And I don't mean 1,000. I mean $18, something like that. So remember if you guys saw the show on Thursday, Picks and Pours, where Matt makes the picks and I make the critiques and we both do it over some whiskey. He said he was going to put money on Ortega by submission in one of the later rounds. He was torn between round 3 and 4. And I kind of said, yeah, I think if he gets him by submission, it's going to come later because he's not going to be able to get him to the ground in the first, which definitely was the case. I mean, the fight went to the ground in the first, but that's because that's where Ortega got dropped to. So Yair Rodriguez came out of the gate throwing fucking fire. Dropped Ortega, battered his eye up pretty good. And then Ortega said that he rolled his ankle right before Bruce Buffer announced them. And I guess he was focused on that and wasn't really thinking about, his head wasn't really in the fight because his ankle was hurting. And man, he paid for it. And Rodriguez probably could have been a little bit more aggressive and finished it in that first round, but he did the right thing. He stayed composed. He did follow Ortega to the ground, but he felt comfortable there because he knew Ortega was hurt. Landed some nice ground and pound. And then Ortega winds up sneaking out the back door, reversing and getting up, finishing the round on top. And the momentum kind of shifted from there. He got his legs back under him going into the second. His boxing looked really clean. He was starting to put things together nicely. Got Yair down to the ground and, held him down for most of the round. And once he realized he could get him down there, I think that just shot his confidence through the roof. So 58 seconds into round 3, he was able to get the arm triangle, and he got it on kind of a weird angle where his shoulder was kind of angled down towards the mat. But he just must have a hell of a squeeze, and he knew he had it too. So he gets it done, man. Both of these guys of Mexican descent, but Yair was more of the hometown boy since he lived in Mexico and trains there for the most part, I believe. But the crowd had a great reception for Brian Ortega as well. That first round, though, man, he really had to walk through the fire to get this victory. I had scored it 10-8 for Yair in the first. I think it was easily a 10-8 because, I mean, Mark Otter was taking a good look at him a few times, and his face was pretty battered up. So now these guys are one apiece. Do we do it one more time? Maybe not right away, but I wouldn't mind seeing this one again. The flyweight rematches, I'm good. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if they ran this one back. So now what do we do? Do you think, Ortega hasn't been around for a while. He was ranked 4 going into this, and the only people ahead of him were Yair. Obviously, he's going to pass him. Max Holloway, who, is fighting a division up now, and Volkanovski. I don't think we do Ortega and Topuria. I don't think that's the fight because Ortega wasn't around. This is a huge win for him, but not huge enough to put him into the title shot, I don't believe. I think Brian Ortega and Movsar Evloev would be fun. That would be an interesting one because Evloev's whole thing is he can hold everybody down, but do you really want to take Brian Ortega down when you know how dangerous he is off of his back? Brian Ortega and Arnold Allen would be a great fight. Yeah, and I wouldn't go much further down than that. I would keep him in that top 6 vicinity, or maybe top 5 if you take Holloway out of the equation. Arnold Allen would be ranked 5th then. But yeah, bummer for Yair because he looked so good in that first round. He looked like an absolute killer. It looked like he was going to be unstoppable that night, and lo and behold, he got stopped. I wonder if anybody knows. Does anybody know what the live odds were going into the second round? And if anybody bet money on Ortega after that first round, that must have been a nice payout. So if anybody has that information, please share it. All right. Another fantastic fight. Daniel Zellhuber, who was the hometown boy in this one against Francisco Prado. So Prado, the much shorter, stockier fighter, was doing big damage in the first round. Zellhuber really had to weather the storm here because Prado was doing a great job at closing the distance, landing some big overhand shots. We know he's got big power in his right hand. And Zellhuber was just having a hard time with the distance in the first round. He just couldn't stop Prado from getting inside. Then he gets in the corner, talks to his coaches, more great coaching. And they said, just stay behind your jab, stay busy, keep him away, and pick him apart. And that's exactly what he did. Wound up busting up Prado's eye with the jab. And then once Prado kind of saw his own blood, he started to panic a little bit and started rushing in and started running into more and more jabs, digging himself a deeper and deeper hole instead of, trying to calm himself down and get back to the success he had in the first round. Once he saw his own blood, it seemed, I guess he felt like maybe he knew he was hurt and he had to try and rush a finish so the doctors wouldn't stop it. Doctor took a good look at his eye in between rounds 2 and 3, let it continue, and Zellhuber stayed composed, stayed behind his jab like his coaches told him to, and got the job done. Got a huge victory in front of the hometown crowd. And, it's got to be one of the best moments of his life. He looked fantastic. Both of these guys impressed me, actually. I thought it was a great fight. I thought Prado looked excellent in the first round. And, if it wasn't for him getting hurt and going into berserker mode, I think we would have been looking at a different fight. If he was just getting picked apart, I think he would have been able to stay composed a little bit better. But yeah, sometimes, when people are used to being the hammer and then, they see their own blood for the first time or they get hurt in there, they react. And like I said, maybe he knew he was hurt and he didn't want the doctors to stop it. But either way, that's a tough dude. I mean, because both his eyes were pretty much swollen shut. Oh, this was the one with the horrible coaching where the coach was yelling at him, "You don't need your eyes." You don't need your eyes. Oh man, that might be one of the worst and best cornerman lines I've ever heard. the worst and the best at the same time. That's up there with what's his name? Edmund. What's that guy's name? Ronda Rousey's boxing coach with the head movement. Well, she's getting picked apart. You don't need your eyes. Shout out to my man Eddie Law. He says Prado is a dog. Capital DAWG. I have to agree with that one. You guys all know Eddie Law, the man behind Cage Side Press, the #1 MMA news outlet out there. If you guys aren't following Cage Side Press, then you must not be an MMA fan. You need to get on that because they are the absolute best. They have such a widespread array of coverage, and I'd say bias-free. They give you the information that you need, and that's what I love about Cage Side Press. Plus, my buddy Eddie Law is behind it, so got to support those guys. So make sure you give them a follow. But yeah, Zellhuber, man. Zellhuber took it to another level. I mean, he took some damage in that first round, and he was able to refocus and go out there and get composed and follow the game plan that his coaches gave him in the corner. And, really looked like a veteran fighter. He fought like a veteran fighter last night. And this kid's 24 years old. So the fact that he was able to do that and he had that kind of maturity and composure when he's there in front of a wild crowd, where people are beating shit out of each other in the stands, and it's his hometown. He's got all this pressure on him. For a 24-year-old kid, man, what a performance. What a performance. He's going to be something special. I guarantee it. Let's see. Yazmin Jauregui. Pretty one-sided fight over Sam Hughes. And you guys may have seen this too. I posted a little joke clip because there was one combination where Yazmin Jauregui threw one punch and it bounced off of Sam Hughes's eye, then her nose, and then her breast. So I posted a little voiceover about that one, and you guys have been sharing the fuck out of that one too. So I don't know. Something's going right with the social media algorithms lately. And whatever it is, it's probably because of you guys. So thank you very much. And cheers to you all. Yeah, so luckily this was a pretty easy one to score because the judges were having some trouble earlier in the night. It was a little bit concerning. And I would almost understand more if it was like going in favor of the Mexican fighters, but it wasn't. Like some of the Mexican fighters even got screwed in their own in their own country. Well, we'll get into that. Let's see. Manuel Torres, rear naked choke victory over Chris Duncan. This was a quick 1 minute, 46 seconds. He just climbed all over him like a spider monkey and got that choke in. Nice squeeze, nice finish by Manuel Torres. This dude, I mean, let me pull up his record real quick. El Loco, they call him. 15-2. This guy has an insane amount of first-round finishes. Let's see. He's been a decision one time in his career. Every other fight, win or lose, finished in the first round. 28 years old. This guy, he was calling out everybody. He's like, yeah, give me Patty Pimblett. Give me, I forget who else he even said, but he wants to smoke from everybody. And this guy has the potential to be, a big star. I mean, he's going out there, he's finishing everybody in the first round, or he's getting finished in the first round. He's got 2 losses on his record, both leg lock submissions. 59 seconds into the first round and 1:23. This guy gets a little leg lock defense, learns how to use his hammer fists. He's going to be a big problem. And yeah, he's got a big personality too. So let's keep an eye on him in this stacked lightweight division. I mean, it's kind of hard to stand out, but finishing everybody you fight in the first round is a great place to start. Let's talk about this. So here we go. Raul Rosas Jr. and Ricky Tercios were supposed to fight last night. I think they were supposed to be like right before the Zellhuber fight or right after the Zellhuber fight. And Rosas Jr. got sick and had to pull out. I don't know what he had. I don't know if he had the flu. I don't know if he had stomach virus or whatever, but he was trying all day to snap out of it and couldn't make it to the cage. This is, according to SureDog, this has already been rebooked for next week. And I know Raul Rosas Jr. is probably really looking forward to fighting in front of that Mexican crowd. He always comes out with a big sombrero. A lot of pride for his Mexican heritage. So I'm sure he's super bummed he's going to miss out on the opportunity to fight in front of them. But he's only like 12 years old, so I'm sure the opportunity will come up again. And they rebooked this for next week, UFC Fight Night 238 at the Apex. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, what kind of, I don't know what these guys' walk around weight is, but now they're going to have to, he was just sick and now he's going to have to weigh in again in a week. And for those who don't really understand how this works, you go through a fight camp to try and make your body peak at a certain night. So, that's taking into account your weight cut and everything else. And you kind of design it that way so that you can recover the week after the fight, right? And your body gets used to, okay, I'm going to be deprived of nutrients and water and all this for a certain amount of time. And then I'm going to get replenished and then I get to recover and heal. So now these guys are going to have to go through that twice within a week. I don't know how I feel about that in terms of their health. However, I don't think there's anything anybody can do to stop it, right? Like, even if it were up to the athletic commission, you're talking about athletic commissions in two different countries. So they can't even say, like, it wouldn't be fair to say, like, well, we know you cut weight last week, so we don't want you doing it again. But I don't know. If they were my fighters, I would say let's put it off. Maybe 5-6 weeks, something like that. I just heard something go crashing to the ground downstairs, but I didn't hear any screams, so I don't think anybody's hurt. So we'll just go on the assumption that everything's okay. Mark Fellows says he was healthy, but his parents didn't sign his permission slip to fight. That is hilarious. Permission slip. Yeah, I mean, if I were his parent or his coach and he just got sick, I wouldn't want him going back and cutting weight again a week later, after we just peaked for a fight. And, I would be kind of pissed if I were in Tercios's corner as well, because he had to go through a weight cut and he was in the back probably getting warmed up, and then he's told there's no fight. That puts something that you're putting your body through a lot to do that. There's a lot of stress on your body, not just from the weight cut, but, mental stress as well. Getting ready for a fight and then all of a sudden it's off and you have to switch off that killer mode, and go back to being a regular human being. The body has a period where it needs to reset. That's my opinion on it anyway, but what do I know? I'm just a guy who drinks whiskey on the internet and occasionally does Shrek impressions. My favorite fight of the night, Raoni Barcelos and Cristian Quinonez. Holy shit. These guys went at it. The scrambles in this fight, fantastic. These guys were fighting 100 miles an hour the whole time. Back and forth, both giving each other fits on the ground and on the feet. Raoni Barcelos able to get the rear naked choke 2 minutes into the third round. Great fight. Great fight. I think this was my favorite fight of the whole night. And yeah, let's talk about some of these shitty decisions here. So Jesus Santos Aguilar and Mateus Mendonca. I don't have much of an opinion on this one. It was a split decision win for Aguilar. I don't think this one was that bad. I think Aguilar won this one, but I don't think I was fully paying attention to this fight either. So we're gonna skip this one. Edgar Chairez submits Daniel Da Silva first round with a triangle. That was a nice one. That was a nice triangle. All right, here, this one I disagree with. So Fares Ziam and Claudio Puelles. I thought Puelles won this fight. Puelles thought Puelles won this fight. Ziam thought Puelles won this fight. But two of the judges did not think Puelles won this fight. How did you guys score this one? Because I had Claudio Puelles winning, I want to say 2-3 or 1-3. Two of the rounds. And you could tell when they were about to announce the decision, Ziam was like, nah, he was like shaking his head. And then even after they announced him, he was like, no, I didn't win this shit. And his coaches came over like, what are you doing? Be excited. You won the fight. Who cares if it was a shitty decision? And at the end of the day, who cares indeed? Because it's going on your record. Nobody's going to go back and look at this and be like, oh, yeah, but that fight with Claudio Puelles, hey, you really didn't win that one. Nobody's going to remember. But we can talk about it now, and we could be outraged. Let's all be outraged. All right? Justice for Claudio Puelles. All right, we got that out of our system. But what do you guys think? Am I off base on this one? Did you guys score it for Puelles, or did you think Ziam actually should have gotten his hand raised? The other questionable one was Felipe dos Santos getting his hand raised over Victor Altamirano. So Altamirano got what, 9 or 10 takedowns in this fight, and I don't care. I don't care how much you do with him. You take a guy down 10 times, like you win. Two of the judges didn't see it that way, and this was the hometown guy that kind of got robbed here. So how did you guys score this one as well? Let me know in the comments or on the DMs or Snapchats or whatever you kids do these days. I don't know. I can't keep up with all this shit. I can't even keep track of my Instagram notifications anymore. You guys made me too popular. That that one post, all I see is people commenting and like arguing in my comment section. I'm just trying to see what's going on. Let's see. I jumped around a little bit here. Yair Rodriguez, rear naked choke victory over Dennis Bondar. And I'm sure Bondar is kicking himself over this one because the submission came at 4 minutes, 59 seconds of round number 2. So if he just held out another second and a half, Mike Beltran would have been pulling him off for a different reason. But here we are. Oh, Mark Fellows informs me that Raul Rosas Jr. and Ricky Tercios are fighting at a catch weight next week. They're not going to have to cut weight again. So that is great news. All right. I retract my entire rant from earlier, and I give this fight my blessing. So carry on. Thank you for that information, Mark. And let's see. Muhammadjan Naimov technically with a TKO victory over Eric Silva. Silva, they said, tore his MCL in the first round of the fight. So that sucks. That really sucks. Hopefully it's not a complete tear. I've torn my MCL. It's super painful. But the MCL, so the MCL is a band that goes diagonally across your knee, and it's got 3 layers to it. So a tear can mean you've torn one layer is completely removed, or you can partially tear through all 3, or all 3 can completely tear, in which case you're going to need reconstruction. So I've just torn the outer band of my MCL, and that was incredibly painful, I can tell you. So hopefully that's all it is for Eric Silva, and he's able to bounce back pretty quick. Did anybody watch Bellator versus PFL, champions versus champions? Neither did I. So let's look at UFC Fight Night 238 coming up next week. Jairzinho Rozenstruik against Shamil. I always forget if it's Gaziev or Gaziev, but this dude is pretty intimidating, 12-0. And a lot of early finishes. He's a big, scary heavyweight with knockout power. 2 wins in the UFC, but he's taken a big step up in competition here. So there must be a lot of people below Rozenstruik that are saying no, or the UFC is just don't know what to do with Rozenstruik anymore. Somebody's getting knocked out in this fight. I mean, there's no way these 2 big boys are going 5 rounds. So I'd put your money on the under for this one, folks, but we'll talk more about that on Thursday during Picks and Pours. Let's see. Matt the Mechanic says, I was going to tune in until I realized it was $50. They tried to charge $50 for a PFL event. Wow. Now I'm extra glad I didn't watch it. And on a Friday. Why do they do this shit on a Friday? This is our biggest event of the year. When should we do it? On a Friday in Saudi Arabia. That's what everybody wants to tune in for. Nobody wants to watch fights on Friday nights. What are you thinking, Bellator, PFL, PFLator, whatever you're calling yourselves now? Get with the program. Another undefeated fighter, Vitor Petrino, fighting Tyson Pedro in the co-main event. So that's going to be a fun fight. Tyson Pedro, it's like, is one of those guys that you don't know what you're going to get. And Vitor Petrino is one of those guys that is going to try and murder you. He's just coming off of that big knockout over Modestas Bukauskas. Also submitted Marcin Prachnio. This dude's a beast. So it's going to be interesting. Tyson Pedro is an awesome fighter. I think he's great, but it's just, you kind of don't know which version of him is going to show up. Like, is it going to be the version that body kicked Harry Hunsucker into oblivion, or is it going to be the version that got TKO'd by a 50-year-old Shogun? Hopefully he's gotten some stuff straightened out, and we're going to see the best version of him on Saturday night. Then exciting, Umar Nurmagomedov finally getting back in there. This is the night of like undefeated fighters. He's fighting Bekzat Almakhan. I know nothing about this man, so let me pull him up real quick. He's from Kazakhstan, so you know he's tough as fuck. Swearing a little more than usual today. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it's earlier in the day, but Well, fuck it, right? All right, so this guy is making his UFC debut. It looks like he's been fighting around the world. He's got like 7 knockout wins in a row. This is going to be a fun fight. This is going to be a really fun fight. He's 14-1 against a 16-0 Nurmagomedov. I like it. And I just closed out the card. All right. So I guess we don't need to talk about that anymore. And then Rosas Jr. and Ricky Tercios, it looks like they put it on the prelims for now. But I imagine that's going to get bumped up to the main card come next week. I would think. Anyway, because they were going to be on the main card, Mexico City, which is a much bigger fight night. In any case, quick episode this week. We'll get more in depth on the fight night on Thursday night's episode. So make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can catch that one. We do those Thursday around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do some picks. Matt is going to tell you how he made so much money this past weekend and how he plans to make even more money with his picks next week. We also have our hot takes or take a shot segment where we debate some sort of MMA hot take. We haven't really established real ground rules for this, but we end up taking disgusting shots that I chose for us, and it's a good time. I think Matt's reactions to the gross shots are my favorite thing for those Picks and Pours episodes. If you guys want to get some MMA on the Rocks merchandise, it's through our friends at Team Reaper. Reaper1.co is the website. MMA Rocks 10 is the promo code that saves you 10% off your entire order. Get an over the top, under the influence t-shirt, tank top, or hoodie through them. And that's about it, folks. So until next time, I'll see you all on Thursday. Cheers, everybody.